So this is grade 11 Precal, lesson 32, multiplying and dividing rational expressions. We're going to start with multiplying and dividing over addition subtraction because it's actually quite a bit easier. So what you have is when you have a rational up here and you're multiplying, first thing you always do is you got to factor because we're trying to reduce as much as we can. So we take this trinomial up the top and factor it. Take this trinomial up the top and factor it. Down the bottom here, that's a difference of squares. And even this one, you got to be careful. There's a GCF, you can pull out an A. Okay, so now if you look, you have to remember you can reduce top and bottom and diagonally. So let's look at this one here. So we have a minus 4. Well, look, there's an a minus 4 over here. We can reduce those two. We have an a plus 3 and an a plus 3. We can reduce that. And an a minus 3 and an a minus 3. So what we're left with is a minus 1 on the top and a on the bottom. Now, when you do your NPVs, you can't just do it of this equation down here. It's not just the a, right? It's not just a 0. You have to look at all the denominators up the top here. So this one here is going to be an a minus 3. This one here is going to be an a plus 3. That's going to be your 0, and that's going to be your positive 4. And then you can see those are our NPVs down here. And it doesn't matter the order that you put them in. So a cannot be equal to any of those 4. Okay, now with division, what you have to remember is you got to remember the rule of dividing by a rational. It's the same as multiplying by the reciprocal. So the first thing we do, factor. So up here, difference of squares. The bottom here, take out an x. This x squared plus x minus 6, you can factor into 2 trinomials. And this x squared plus x minus 20, you can factor into 2 binomials. That's on the top here. Sorry, I've already flipped it here. So this x squared plus x minus 6 is on the bottom because we've multiplied by the reciprocal. So that's the factoring down there. And this one, the x squared plus x minus 20 is already on the top. You can put one more step in there. You could have division and then have it rational and then write it out one more time. But it doesn't matter. You can save yourself a few steps. Okay, so the x minus 2 we can reduce, the x minus 4 we can reduce, and there's our total one. Now, the NPVs are a little bit trickier on division. You have to look at on the left one here, you can just take the denominator. So x and x minus 4. So that's going to be 0 and positive 4. Now, with the one you flipped, you have to take the NPVs not only on the original, the division one, but you have to take them on the multiplication. So in reality, NPVs are on the numerator and the denominator on this one. So we have a minus 5 for this one, a positive 4, a negative 3, and a positive 2. Okay, so let's go over that one again. When you're dividing, you have to take the NPVs from the denominator on the first one, but both the numerator and the denominator on the second one. Okay, flip the page. We'll go to the last example here, and this is a little bit trickier because we're mixing up division and multiplication. Okay, so let's do the top one here. So we have 2m squared minus 7m minus 15. Factor that into 2 binomials. The bottom one, you can see the GCF is 2m. Take that out. The division, right? Just flipped it already. Again, you could do that in 2 steps if you want to do the division and factor, and then, do the multiplication, do the division, then factor, and then flip it and multiply. Doesn't matter to me. Now the 6, you can look, when you flip this, see, that's 6. You can actually break it down to its factored form. We do that in the next step here. And the 4m squared minus 9 is a difference of squares. Now, this is a little bit trickier. Because if you notice, it's 3 minus 2m, and normally we have the 2m first. So what we do is we can flip that around. So negative 2m minus 3, and then we can take out a GCF of negative 1. We did that on the last simplifying rationals, so it should be similar to you. Okay, now look at this stuff, and we got it all. Let's see what we can reduce. So 2m plus 3, oh yeah, there it is. Oh, that's way down there on the bottom. We can get rid of that. M minus 5, and m minus 5 is right here. The 2m minus 3 and the 2m minus 3. Now, if you look, we took that 6 and we broke it down to 2 and 3. You don't have to, but it makes it easier. Oh, I can take a 2 out of there and a 2 out of there. Nice. So then all we have on the top is 3 times negative 1, which is negative 3, and m times 1, which is m. Wow. But NPVs, there's a bunch of them. So m is just the 0 there, right? Remember, any variable by itself, even if it's multiplied by a number, is just 0. This one's positive 5. And if you look, we have 2m minus 3 and 2m plus 3. So that's our plus and minus 3 over 2. So we just set that equal to 0. So that's pretty straightforward. So multiply, straightforward, reduce, factor, then reduce, and look at your NPVs just on the denominator. When you're doing division, you have to factor, reduce, but your NPVs come from the denominator on the first term, but your numerator and denominator of the second term. So make sure you get that.